Hello, welcome back. I'm now going to read chapter 4 of Rubbish Town Hero. So, let's get started. Chapter 4. It was a very dark night with no moon and just a few stars showing between the clouds. This was good in one way because it hid them, but bad in another because it made finding a way through the fence very hard. They had paced back and forth along a stretch of fence where Cheapo knew the hole was, without finding it. He was just about to give up when Gentle said, "It's here." "Where?" he said crossly. "Give me your hand and I'll show you." Gentle guided Cheapo's hand to the place where the links in the mesh of the wire had come loose and were held together by just one looped strand. With a bit of pulling and wiggling, there was quite a good hole, easily enough to allow two small skinny bodies to climb it up and inch their way through. In a moment they were on the other side of the fence, and Cheapo had forgotten his bad temper. His eyes were completely accustomed to the darkness now. He could make out the pale surface of the dump and the dark shapes of trees and bushes against it and against the sky. He'd find that TV in no time. "All we have to do is walk in a straight line from here," he explained to Gentle. "When we get to the bushes, we turn right, up a slope, and we should see the bag marking the place." Gentle wasn't listening. "How will we find the hole again?" she said. Cheapo hadn't thought about that. "I know where the hole is, just beyond the 15th fence post from the gate." "Then how come you couldn't find it?" Cheapo didn't reply. "I'll tie my face bandage to the wire right here," Gentle went on. "It's white, it'll stand out, and I don't need to wear it on the dump." Cheapo wished he'd thought of that. He was the big brother, and big brothers were supposed to be the ones with ideas, not little sisters. "Come on," he told Gentle, "follow me." Even without seeing her, Cheapo knew that Gentle was rolling her eyes. They walked out into the open space of the dump. Away from the fence, they were less likely to be spotted, but more likely to get lost. Cheapo pushed his worry down into his belly, away from his heart, and walked on. "Don't be scared," he told Gentle. "I'm not scared," she replied, but he could tell she was. There was a little more starlight now, so the surface of the dump looked like a big pale desert, and Gentle's eyes glinted in her face. All Cheapo could hear was the shush-shush of their feet on the crunchy top layer of the rubbish. Yet Gentle was sure she had heard something else. She made Cheapo stop and listen. "I heard footsteps," she said. "I know I did. Cheapo." Gentle sounded scared, and Cheapo couldn't help being pleased. In future, she'd understand that special missions weren't for little sisters. "There's no one here but us," he told her. "Then why are you whispering?" "I'm not whispering," whispered Cheapo. "Now let's go." Cheapo's carrier bag flag worked well, and they soon found the spot where the TV was buried. He told Gentle to keep watch while he dug it out. He didn't think there was anything to watch out for, but it would keep her quiet. He slid his hands down through the bits and bobs of fragments of long-forgotten objects, dry and crumbly as ashes, until his fingers found the cool, smooth screen beneath. It wasn't broken, not even cracked. It still had its plastic casing, even all its little knobs and dials. Cheapo could feel them all. He reached his arms right down around it and pulled. "Cheapo!" Gentle's exclamation made Cheapo let go of the TV and fall flat on his back with a scrunch. "Cheapo, I saw eyes. I did. It's the guard dogs coming to get us." Cheapo sat up and was just about to get quite cross and tell Gentle to stop being a baby when he saw the green glint of a pair of slanted eyes in the darkness. The eyes stared, blinked, then moved. There was a rapid shush-shush-shush-shush of the animal's paws on the trash, then the eyes stared again. Could the stories about Voodoo's guard dogs really be true? Cheapo's heart was racing, but he answered Gentle calmly, as if a fierce killer dog was no more than a fly you swatted with your finger. "Oh, those eyes. They're nothing to be scared of. If they come closer, throw a stick at them. Now let me get this TV." Cheapo plunged his arm back into the rubbish and found the solid square shape of the television again. "Cheapo," said Gentle, "the eyes are getting closer." Cheapo didn't listen to his sister. Guard dog or no guard dog, he was going to get that TV. But it was stuck for some reason. He felt all around it. "They're getting closer." There was a whimper in Gentle's voice now, but Cheapo took no notice. He was too busy pulling and, "Oh, Cheapo!" The fear in Gentle's voice changed quite suddenly to a giggle, and just as it did so, the TV came free of the dump, like a cork out of a bottle. Cheapo, with the TV in his arms, somersaulted backwards, bowled Gentle off her feet, and came to rest in a tangle of arms, legs, and furry paws. When the two children opened their eyes, a dog was staring into their faces. It was hard to make out in the weak starlight, but the dog was huge, with a big square head and paws bigger than the palms of Gentle's hands. But it wasn't fierce at all. Its skinny tail wagged back and forth against the sky, and its right ear, the left, was just a stump, cocked in a friendly sort of way. It stood right over Gentle and looked down at her. "Oof," said the dog softly. "Oof, oof." Its voice was deep and gruff. "It wants to be my friend," laughed Gentle. "It wants to be fed," said Cheapo. "Or it wants to bark and give us away. Shoo, shoo." He waved his arms at the dog, then threw the slat that had held up the carrier bag flat at it, and it fled into the darkness, its tail between its legs. Gentle sat up and slapped Cheapo hard on the back. "Ow," he exclaimed. "That really hurt." "Why did you chase it away?" Gentle complained. "Do you want to share our food with a dog?" Cheapo replied crossly. "But it wanted to be my friend," Gentle almost wailed. Suddenly, Cheapo understood. Nobody wanted to be Gentle's friend. He was the only friend she had, and that didn't count because he hadn't chosen her. He was just her brother. "I'm sorry," he said. "If it comes back, I'll be nice to it. It can come home with us and eat my half sandwich." Gentle sniffed. "Thanks, Cheapo," she said. "Shall I help carry the TV?" "Yeah, that would be good," said Cheapo, as calmly as he could. It was important, if you were a superhero like Powerbolt, to keep your head and be kind, even if you were really scared. He wondered if Gentle had noticed how very far they were from the hole in the fence and safety. And that's the end of chapter 5, where we'll find out if they get out of the dump safely. Bye!